last thing I thought I was going to talk about today is new My Chemical Romance music, but here we are. If you've been on emo Twitter anytime in the past 24 hours, I'm sure you've seen either clips or videos or songs that may or may not be new My Chemical Romance songs, old My Chemical Romance songs, or just AI-generated garbage. But as I looked into everything, it was so weird and interesting that I had to make a video about it, so I'll try to sum up everything that's happened and try to explain it as clear as possible. Okay, first things first. I think most people, even casual fans of My Chemical Romance, know that the band was going to release an album before they broke up. The working title, or anything that you're going to find online, the album was going to be called Paper Kingdoms, and the entire... maybe concept's not the right word, but the album was going to be about a support group of parents who all had children that passed away. So obviously very dark, very serious, and compared to all the other stuff that I'm going to talk about, which is a lot of connecting the dots, a lot of rumors, this part, the support group, the album, Paper Kingdoms, this part is factual. Like, this is confirmed. We have video of Gerard Way talking about this album.
And I started to work on a record that was a concept record about a group of parents in a support group because they had all lost their children in a horrible way. And that was supposed to be the last record. And that's not a story I wanted to tell.
So, as I said, this album, Paper Kingdoms, maybe not the official title, but we know that this album is confirmed. This was going to happen. There are songs that were worked on. They might be full songs, but we know this is an actual thing. So I have Photoshop opened here because I was trying to figure out a way with like graphics that I can explain everything that I've kind of pieced together in the last 24 hours, and Photoshop is, I think, the easiest way for me to explain everything. So as you see, we basically have three participants in all of this. We have the leaker, we have the My Chemical Romance fans, and we have the mystery individual. So as far as I can piece together, after Paper Kingdoms, after the band broke up, a few years ago, we have the leaker, who somehow, nobody really knows how, they have at least 4, 5, I've heard up to 6 songs from this album, clips, full songs, nobody really knows. But we know that this leaker has at least something that most people believe are songs from Paper Kingdom. Now, the die-hard My Chemical Romance fans obviously would like to listen to these songs. So the leaker, as far as I can put together, was selling the clips or the full songs to fans. Now, My Chemical Romance, obviously one of the biggest emo, pop-punk, rock bands, whatever you want to call them, one of the biggest bands in our scene, so obviously they have a lot of fans. So, after time, the fans realized that they were getting more or less the same songs or the same clips from this leaker. So, they were basically all paying for the same thing. So, the fans all banded together, again, from what I could find, allegedly, and they paid the leaker for pretty much everything. So the fans got all of it. They have all the 4 or 5 or 6 songs and clips that exist from Paper Kingdoms. So it's a situation where basically everybody's the bad guy, but I don't think either the leaker or the fans kind of realize that. And listen, I'm not going to pretend that I've never downloaded songs before. You know, I came up in the time of LimeWire and all that stuff. I came up from the time of where you were able to Google the band name, album title, and then Mediafire, and you would pretty much get any album that ever existed, whether it was released or it was, you know, a few weeks or even months before the release. So I'm not throwing shade, you know, on anybody, but, you know, paying for low quality leaks from your favorite band like this is 2004, I don't know. So this is all option 1. Leaker to fans, fans getting stuff from leaker, and then kind of posting it as far as I can tell. But option 2 is all around this mystery individual, because option 2 is that this mystery individual went directly to the leaker, paid a lot of money, apparently, from what I could find, and they now control everything. They have all the clips and everything. So The prevailing theory from option 2 is that this might have been the band themselves, or the record label just kind of getting everything, keeping it all in-house, and they paid enough money to the leaker where, obviously, I mean, there's copies of everything, right? This is the internet. Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. But they paid enough so that no more stuff is going to leak, and this individual, the mystery individual, has everything. And this all brings us to about 24 hours ago, where more clips and, 2-ish, 3 minutes clips of songs have been leaking. Again, I'm not going to obviously share or link to where all this stuff is, but again, this is the internet. Once it's on the internet, it's going to be on the internet. But why I wanted to sit down and make this video was really because of option 2, because if we believe option 2, then that would mean allegedly, this is all coming from one individual, all of these leaks and stuff, which would lend me to believe, and I've seen this kind of pop up on different places as well, that this may, allegedly, I'm not saying that this is a fact, but that this might be all marketing from My Chemical Romance, and we might be getting something official in the next few days. Maybe they reworked some of these old songs. Maybe they're just going to release, one song at a time just to really kind of hold fans over until we get actual new music or new information about the new album. Because one thing I'm 100% sure of is My Chemical Romance didn't just come back and release Foundations of Decay and then go silent as far as new music. That's just not going to happen. Again, I don't know anything official, but I'm going to assume here pretty confidently that we're going to be getting new music or a new My Chemical Romance album at some point. In my video where I talked about everything we know about the new MCR album, basically it was that the new album is late 2024 or at some point in 2025, which again makes sense to me. I don't think My Chemical Romance, released Foundations of Decay and just dipped out and said, so long, good night. I don't think that's happening. As I talked about in my History of Pop Punk video, the recent My Chemical Romance tour was literally the most profitable tour of their entire career, which is still crazy to think about, just as far as like a marketing and, just business aspect. That blew my mind when I read that from, I think it was Billboard. I'll have the, everything, linked, or I'll have an image up here of the source and where that came from. But nostalgia too for the 2000s emo, punk rock, pop punk, all of that stuff. That nostalgia for that era of music has literally never been higher. I mean, just look at When We Were Young for proof of that. And like I said in the Everything We Know About the New MCR album video, I still think our best guess is for any new information about a proper new album, more around, I should say, the time of When We Were Young, because I guess we could get a complete, surprise album drop, whether it's just demos or stuff from this album, Paper Kingdoms, or a complete new album. Like, a surprise drop really wouldn't be anything new. Major artists have all done it in the past few years, so it's not like this would be unheard of. But a new My Chemical Romance album in July, as I sit here recording this video, it just doesn't feel right. You'd figure a new My Chemical Romance album in the fall, in the autumn, around Halloween. That just feels right. Again, anything is possible, but as I was looking more into everything, and as I stare now at my beautiful a graph of everything that's happened in like the past 24 hours that I've seen, it is kind of confusing, so I wanted to sit down and make this video because, My Chemical Romance, again, is one of the biggest bands in the scene. People love My Chemical Romance, as I've talked about in many different videos, most recently, my History of Pop Punk video, which you can check out now. When people talk about their nostalgia for emo, or you hear these things about, being an elder emo, or my favorite is all these emo nights, which all play like the same music from the same, years of like 2000 till about 2008 or 9, I guess. Like, when people talk about being nostalgic for emo, the last album, what they really mean is they're talking about the Black Parade 2006 and My Chemical Romance. That's actually what they mean when they say that. And that's really when the downfall of emo, pop punk, and punk rock really happened in the mainstream. Obviously, you have Paramore's Riot, which was, a few years later, and that was really kind of, that's more pop punk, and more people associate with My Chemical Romance, being emo, whether, you think My Chemical Romance are a bunch of posers or not, that really doesn't matter at this point. Most people associate My Chemical Romance with emo. And again, as I've said 1,000 times on the channel, most people, most casual music fans think emo, pop punk, and punk rock are the same thing anyway. So all these, labeling a band this genre or that genre, or calling someone a poser like we're in the 5th grade, is really irrelevant. My Chemical Romance came back. We had Foundations of Decay. People were kind of 50-50 on that song. My opinions, to sum it up really quick, I dive more deep into it in that video, but to sum it up really quick, I actually think that song is one of the more traditional emo songs that My Chemical Romance has ever released. But a lot of casual music fans that are my friends, that are, hardcore into, emo and the scene and stuff like that, they didn't like that song because it didn't sound like the catchy rock and roll, which is literally all the other mainstream popular My Chemical Romance songs. So that's what I've seen out in the real world. Not a lot of people excited about Foundations of Decay because, again, it didn't sound like The Black Parade, which is a very catchy rock and roll album. So I did think it was a weird choice for My Chemical Romance to come back after all those years and release Foundations of Decay, when, in my personal opinion, it probably should have been something that was more Black Parade My Chemical Romance, which to me is just catchy rock and roll. I think that song would have had a lot more, staying power with fans who are casual fans and who are more nostalgic about emo and My Chemical Romance, because I haven't heard that song really anywhere. I don't see anybody talking about Foundations of Decay. It's not being played on rock radio. Again, no new music is, because rock radio is just a bunch of morons and idiots running that. But, the song really isn't anywhere. I really just heard it popping up, over the past few days when all of this kind of stuff is happening with the Paper Kingdom. So that's all the information that I have. Let me know if you're interested in new My Chemical Romance, if you liked or you didn't like Foundations of Decay. Please like the video, please share the video, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.